Hey guys, believe it or not, we have another two-part project today. So, what we're going to do is we are going to be drawing some cactuses. Why cactuses, you may ask? Well, I think cactuses are cool and fun to draw. And also, we are going to be putting the cactuses, we are going to be drawing the cactuses in pots with Aztec designs in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month, because the Aztec people lived in Mexico back in like the 1300s to the 1500s. So they lived there a long time ago, and they had these really beautiful geometric patterns that they decorated things with. And cactuses tend to grow in very dry areas because they are all a part of the plant group of succulents. And cactuses tend to be succulents that have those little spikes on them, that have little spines that hurt when they get stuck in your fingers. So those are cactuses, and they would have grown where the Aztecs were at the time, and they used them for different purposes, for food purposes and just for life purposes, for different things. So we are going to draw some cactuses, and I wanted to give you some examples of how to draw them before you end up drawing your own. So I've got this piece of paper here, and I'm looking at different types of cactuses. So you've got, a lot of times cactuses will be put in the same pot and grown together. You see this with a lot of succulents, actually, and succulents have been kind of big lately because they live in places where it's really, really dry. They tend to be really easy to take care of. So people like succulents, is all. But succulents, cactuses, they grow in the same place. We could draw cactuses, but we could also draw succulents. So I'm going to draw a couple varieties. So I'm going to start with one that's actually pretty simple. So some cactuses, you can just draw these two curved lines up the sides, and then you can draw a big circle on top. And I hope you can see that. Yeah, that's visible. And then in that circle, you can draw some lines. You want to make these lines curved so you can see that the curves go around this sphere shape. And then on those curves, I'm actually looking to use a pen, you can draw little X's, and that's actually kind of how the spikes grow off of this cactus, is in these little X's shapes. And this is like a cactus flower. These parts on top would usually be like a red color a lot of the time. So there's that one. That one's really nice and easy. If you want to go with an easy design, that's one that works. Nice and easy cactus design. But let's also try some other ones that are less easy, right? See how visible that is? It is visible, but visibility is not fantastic. We'll do with what we have, right? So another kind of cactus is one like this. It's got a big, it's like another sort of big circular body of the cactus. And then it's got sort of smaller growths going off the side. So it's like unfinished ovals that I'm drawing here that are attached to this kind of cactus. And a lot of these will also have flowers on them. A lot of cactuses have flowers, so if you like flowers, it makes perfect sense to draw flowers on your cactus. So please do that if you'd like. Okay, so we've got this cactus has got this growth on it, and then we can say that there's like another one right here, and another one right here. And that's the way the cactus looks. And then depending on what kind of cactus it is, the sort of spines can go a different way. You could just draw, like, if I were to outline this in black, because I feel bad, because you guys can't really see this that well. I'll just do that. I'll make it a lot more visible. I'm just using actually scrap paper from a demonstration from before. You can practice drawing these in your on your whiteboard. I think that's a really good idea, and I recommend that. Just because you can erase it, make it nice and easy. So with that one, depending on how you want to make the little spines, you can just draw dots. Those work. Obviously, there's the X's. You know, you can just draw little spikes on the edges. However you want. And you kind of want to draw, you'll notice that I'm drawing these spikes together, like they're coming out from the same place. And the reason I'm doing this and doing these dots is because there are thousands of tiny little spikes. Let's see, let's go with the classic cactus that everybody knows and loves. We're gonna draw that one too. So that one, I think you all know this one. If the plot starts down here, I'll just make it start down here. Because some of these get super duper tall. And okay, so we have this part of the cactus. A lot of times it'll have things that sort of look like arms coming out of the side of the cactus. And the way I like to draw these actually is with sort of stripes down them. And these are sort of where the little spines go on the cactus. That's where they grow, so that's why I draw it with those little spines. But you know, when you have that cactus, you can also add smaller growths, like, you know, there are types of succulents that just have these big, flat leaves, like this. That grow out of them. So I'm going to bring that up closer. You can see that. And those, you know, they'll grow together. Or you can draw one that's even just like a big circle, you know? And then the circle sort of looks like drawing a pumpkin, you know? And then the circle tends to have spikes that come out like this. And I draw that little X because, you know, they're coming out from all sides. And with that, you have some nice little drawings of cactuses. And I'm trying to look to see if there's any other cactuses that I want to draw. A lot of them are like these circular shapes with smaller circular shapes coming out of them. So there can be a pretty easy variety. You could also just have cactuses that are nice and tall. Like, let's say we're going to add another cactus in here. And maybe this cactus is just a bunch of long leaves, long, thick leaves, and it just has some spikes on the side. That's totally another type of cactus. You can just draw a cactus that looks like this. You know, and then a flower on top. And you know, draw the spikes on your cactus however you want to. I feel like it does look good if you draw your cactus with lines down the middle. I feel like it kind of makes it look like a cactus. And that might just be because a lot of cartoons draw cactuses this way, so they're recognizable. But yeah, a lot of them will have like leaves that kind of go around, so start at the bottom with the leaves and just draw leaves going up. And you can even draw a flower in the middle of those too. Sometimes they have like a flowery growth. So those are cactuses. Cactuses are pretty easy to draw. I keep saying that, I think. But just take your time with this process. Make it nice and it's going to be great. So that's the first part of our tutorial, learning how to draw cactuses. And you can work on this on your whiteboard or in a sketchbook if you have one. Okay, for my next trick, I'm going to show you how to draw some Aztec patterns. The key with these patterns is to layer them up, not layer them on top of each other, like drawing on top of another drawing, but put one on top of the other. I'll show you. I'll draw like a big pot and you'll have an example of what I mean.
Hey, I just wanted to say, please don't actually draw your pot this big on your final paper if it is your final paper. I just drew it big here to demonstrate the different kinds of Aztec patterns. Don't actually draw it that big, draw it at the bottom of your paper for your final piece.
Thanks! Trapezoid, and then you draw a big kind of curved rectangle on top. And there you have it. So, a lot of Aztec patterns are as simple as just a bunch of triangles. A lot of them are triangles, a lot of them are squares, and some are very complex and beautiful. And I would like to do those, but those are a little bit complicated. So I'm going to try to keep it pretty simple for you guys. So one thing you could do, you could break it up with like lines here, right? Oops. And if you mess up, I'm just doing this in Sharpie so I can show you guys nice and clear. You know how it goes. And you could do something like just go and do a zigzag line and draw little triangles inside of the bigger triangles that you made by doing that zigzag line. Wasn't that easy? Another thing you can do is you can draw little squares under here. And just like that, you have another pattern. Bring it up closer. There you go. And after that, you can draw something, again, pretty simple. Let's see. I'm looking at ideas that we could try. We could go for something as simple as this. We draw another line. Oop. Not perfectly straight. And we could just draw
stripes, like little short diagonal lines.
Make them thicker. If you look up Aztec patterns, and I'll attach some so that you guys can see. You can see that some of them may look complicated, and you may want to draw them, you may want to start with something simple and move forward. They don't have to be complicated for them to look good. I promise you. And I'm actually going to give you a good example of that. So say we're just drawing a bunch of squares. Those aren't the most perfect or beautiful squares in the world, but they'll work. And then I'm going to go to the corner of each of those squares.
And draw a little square in each corner there.
And you could leave it as simple as that, or you could color in those little parts.
Coloring those parts in gives you a different look.
So you have that look. And then you could even draw like, I don't know, a little square in the center. And that would complicate it even more. Make it look even cooler. You could also do something like this. Starting with a simple zigzag. And then doing the zigzag in the opposite direction. There you have that. See, and my Aztec designs at this point are really coming together. So, oh my gosh, I have so many options to do for these. It's like crazy all the choices that you have. You could even do something as simple as a line like this. With a bunch of dots on it. There's always, of course, the option of doing something a little bit more complicated. Like, for example, doing a shape like this, like a we have that, and then we could add something in there, like you could draw, you could draw like a little cross in the middle here. Then of course, oops, you would draw under this. And over this. I'd probably put some simpler patterns in the top and bottom there. So let's say I go with just making a bunch of squares here with like thick black lines. Okay. There we go.
And now we can be nice and thick.
Okay, so there I've given you some good examples of Aztec patterns. And like I said, these were pretty simple to make. It's not like I really struggled to make any of these. It's just the time it takes and having a little patience, waiting for it all to come together, and then it'll look really nice. So, there's your little tutorial on Aztec pattern. All right, I think you all know where I'm going from here. Now, we are going to draw our cactuses in the pots, right? And I have a Sharpie here that I'm using. Even though I'm using a Sharpie, that doesn't mean I want you to use a Sharpie starting out, because I would like you to use a pencil. I'm using a Sharpie, so it'll show up really nicely in this video. But I'm going to start my pot right at the bottom of the paper, and I want to make it nice and wide. You can make it nice and wide like this, or you don't have to. It's up to you. A little bit of the pot should definitely be showing. Like, I'll give this a really wide little lip so that when we have when we draw our Aztec designs, there's room for me to put lots of Aztec designs, right? And then, because I like how many different types of cactuses there are, I think I'm gonna put a bunch of different types of cactuses in my pot here. So, I'll start with a little one in the front. I'm gonna draw this one with a little flower on top. I'm going to draw a taller one with lots of sort of cactusy attachments. You might just want to draw the basic shape first and then attach them and erase the lines where you started. I'm adding some more flowers to that cactus. And then, let's see, what else do I have here? I could draw another sort of succulent sort of plant over here at the bottom. You can have that be like a little bit of dirt over there. Maybe I'll have one that's tall and skinny. There. Maybe another one that's sort of behind it, because I want to fill up my cactus space nicely. So I drew a bunch of cactuses, again, just to demonstrate them. You could draw a bunch of cactuses in yours. I don't know how good this looks. It might look a little bit better if you just draw one cactus in your pot, like I demonstrated before, but it's up to you. It really just depends on how many cactuses you want to draw. So now I'm adding the spikes. I'm doing tiny little X's here, and those are representing my spikes. And then, from there, I'm going to be drawing my Aztec patterns on my pot, okay? So, you can always start by dividing it up into lines. And then drawing patterns from there. But I already showed you how to draw the patterns. Over here, so there you have it. You can see how it would look with the pattern in there, sorta. You know, really I do this just because I don't want to make their videos too long. But yeah, I want you to fill this all up with patterns and draw your cactuses. And that's all you have to do this week. I would like your final drawing ready to go in pencil, with the cactus and the pot and the Aztec patterns, all of that done, nice and big on the paper. And then next week, we're gonna outline it with a Sharpie and color it in with whatever coloring method that we have available to us. I think I'm going to do watercolor. So that's what I need from you this week. I just need that pencil drawing of your cactuses and your Aztec patterns to be outlined later. If you want to outline it this week, I guess you can, but you don't have to. All right, I'm looking forward to seeing these, and I hope you have fun drawing them. Bye-bye.